Well, gosh, Mickey, I think we're about to be out of a job. Disney is dying. And I don't mean that in a YouTuber clickbait kind of way. I mean, the company is literally falling apart right now. I'm no Wolf of Wall Street, but when you look at the stock value, it peaked back in 2021 at $189, and it's down to half that today. When it comes to their movies, so many of their films just bombed at the box office, still making hundreds of millions of dollars, but in some cases not earning their budget back or crossing the threshold of being profitable. Then you've got Disney Plus, which has 150 million subscribers, and that sounds like a lot, but when you compare it to Netflix, it's setting at 250 million right now, you can understand that they're kind of losing the streaming wars, considering that they are Disney and they own literally everything. And as someone who has always been their target demographic, I mean, my first movie in the theaters was Disney. I grew up watching the animated shorts and the films. I love Marvel. I love Indiana Jones. I love all that shit. I'm a little scared. I'm a little bit worried because these are some of my favorite entertainment properties, and watch them slowly die at the hands of Disney is frightening. Wish came out this weekend, and this is the first original IP item that we have seen from Disney in a while, and I didn't go see it. I'm planning to see it on Disney Plus. The audience that did go out to see it seemed to like it with an 81% rating at Rotten Tomatoes. The critics, not so much at 48%. But regardless, the people that showed up to see this movie were far and few between. At least people liked it. So maybe it'll be a slow burn, but this one is probably a flop too. In fact, this movie made about $81 million at the opening box office. And this, again, sounds like a lot of money, but if you're in the know, you'll realize that that is a very low amount of money for a Disney film. Then you got things like The Marvels, which is also another movie I didn't see in theaters because I know I can see it on Disney Plus, but it is now the lowest grossing MCU movie in history. Compare that to the original Captain Marvel, which crossed the $1 billion threshold. That's how much times have changed. And what sucks for me about all of this is that there was a period of time where a new Marvel movie coming out was so exciting for me and my friend group. We would get our tickets early. We would stand in line on a Thursday night to be one of the first people to see it. We would be packed in with other nerds like sardines in the theater, waiting for the next Iron Man, or God forbid, something like Endgame or Infinity War. These were just game changers for nerds like me. Same when Disney Plus launched. Me and my friends came over to the house and we watched WandaVision. And at first it felt like a spectacle. It felt like an event. But as more and more shows came out and as the writing got poorer and poorer, I don't even watch a lot of these shows anymore. And that sucks because I love Marvel. I do. I just want it to be good. And look, I'm not unfamiliar with this happening. It happened when I was reading comics as a kid. In the 80s, sure, there was quite a few titles. A lot of comic collectors would want to pick up 5 or 10 titles a month. But in the 90s, they kept spinning off more and more comic books to the point that there were so many different variants of Spider-Man or X-Men or Wolverine that instead of picking up 5 titles or 10 titles, you're expected to pick up 20 or 25. Just like what's happening to Marvel now, with all of these different titles, it no longer was a special thing when the new Spider-Man story came out because there was 5 different Spider-Man stories being told to you in that same month. And once it felt like it was no longer special, most people were no longer interested. And this means when you do truly have a special piece of art, like Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, which was an absolutely fantastic film and one of the best superhero movies ever made, people don't even hear about it because there's so much other stuff that's coming out. People don't trust the writing. They're not going to show up on opening weekend. Movies like this have to stand out by becoming a slow burn and having word of mouth. Whereas if this movie come out 10 years ago, it would have been the thing that people went back to see over and over again. I'll just say it. I think Guardians of the Galaxy is better than Star Wars ever was. When you go back and look at Star Wars, sure, the movies are fine, but at the end of the day, what made it such a phenomenon was that there was nothing like it. This changed cinema forever, and hopefully for the better as well. In a world where we're saturated with Star Wars, though, there's just nothing special about it, and people don't see the films. Star Wars right now is kind of on hiatus, and I think that's what needs to happen for Marvel. No brand new movies for a while because they are no longer special. Fewer Disney Plus shows, though they will never stop completely making those. And if they are going to make them, they need to make sure that they are good, which most of the Disney Plus shows have not been. Unfortunately for Marvel, there is much better cape stuff out there. If you have not watched The Boys, if you have not watched Invincible, they do things that Disney will never be able to do with their properties because they are Disney. But Invincible definitely breaks that mold. And The Boys created a whole brand new mold and then shattered that on their own. I can't wait for season 4, genuinely. It's almost like Disney forgot that they have to be the kings of event films and event spectacles, right? Which is so weird because growing up with Disney in the 80s, that's what they did. That's what they were. You would tune in on Sunday night to see what spectacle, what crazy event they would put together for you. The theme parks are filled with events and spectacles. That's what makes these properties special. They have to be unique. They have to be just bizarre. They have to just draw you in, and there has to be nothing else like it. If you keep producing the same thing over and over and over again, it's no longer special and it's not worth watching. Now, the good news is the folks over at Disney seem to have figured this out because they are canceling the movies left and right. She-Hulk Season 2 canceled. Daredevil is being reworked before it goes on to Disney+. I mean, it looks like they are going to try to revamp the entire thing and start over the same way I hope they're doing with Star Wars. Because if they're going to continue to make shows constantly and they're going to continue to make movies constantly, then at least they have to be good. They have to be well written, they have to be well acted, they have to be well filmed, and they probably have to do it on a reasonable budget. And I would very much like to see that version of Marvel. If we're not going to give it a break and we're not going to give it a hiatus, just make sure you're hiring talented people and you're making sure that the content they are producing is good. To put it into YouTube terms, I think there's two different YouTubers who really exemplify what I'm trying to say here. Disney can go one of two routes. They can either go the Mr. Beast route, which is to make everything they do a huge spectacle, weird and interesting, and something that will get even the media and fans and other content creators and YouTubers to talk about and show up and enjoy. Or the alternative is to be Matt Pat. Matt has, 4 different channels now? Movie theory, game theory, food theory, makeup theory, TV theory. I mean, he couldn't be saturating the market more, but at least what he puts out is relatively good. It's well written, it's well scripted, the editing is top notch. If you're going to put out a ton of stuff, it may not be Mr. Beast quality every time it comes out, but at least it's good. Matt Pat just can't have any terrible videos come out. If one of his videos looks like mine, he's probably in trouble. I'm also afraid that Disney's going to learn the wrong lesson when it comes to Wish. This was a risk, and unfortunately the risk so far doesn't look like it's paying off, though who knows. This movie could still turn out to have a slow burn and end up being a hit, and I hope that it is. What's good about Wish is that they took a risk, they tried something different, they changed things up. Even if it's not a hit, at least it's a brand new property, at least it's something worth talking about, at least it's a bit of a spectacle, and hopefully the next one will pay off. But they'll probably stop taking risks and continue to do what they do, which is make subpar sequels until we're all bored of it and the company goes bankrupt. I mean, I'm no CEO. I'm just a fan. And I know as a fan what I want to see. And I want to see high quality entertainment that's rare and unique that I can connect to and genuinely love, that changes the world a little bit better and makes it a slightly better place. You know who used to do that really well? Disney. There is, of course, the culture war stuff as well, and I've left that out of this video because I'm not that into it, but I do think it could have its own dedicated video moving forward if you want me to get into that. We've seen Bob Iger and Elon Musk and Ron DeSantis and everybody else getting into it, and I think it might be worth sitting down and breaking that down, but so many other YouTubers are doing it. I just wanted to talk, not as a political pundit, but as a fan. But I don't think the culture war stuff has as much to do with it as you would think, because at the end of the day, even those of us who are very politically motivated, and I am not, we just want to watch good stuff, and we want to be entertained. So, as always, guys, thanks for watching. I love you very much, and I will speak with you again soon. Go watch Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. You'll be very glad you did.